Thanks for staying with us here on News Central's Breakfast Central. The federal government of Nigeria has announced a $800 million World Bank grant as part of its subsidy palliative measures to cushion the effect of subsidy removal in June 2023. This was made known by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, during the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday.
Now, furthermore, according to the minister, the palliatives would be targeting 50 million vulnerable Nigerians or 10 million households, and engagements are ongoing with the newly established Presidential Transition Council, the PTC, and the incoming administration to drive the palliative program, which includes the need for buses, among various considerations. Now, the federal government also approved 10.9 billion naira for supplying and installing information and communication technology components for the May 2023 National Population Census. And this was part of the approvals by the FEC, today chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Well, that's it. That's that story there. $800 million gotten from the World Bank again. 50 million Nigerians to receive palliatives from that, and the questions are beginning to trickle in. Question one: how many people will get something from that 50 million that will indeed be shared amongst a select few, because population is more than that. How are you going to select these ones who will definitely get these palliatives?
I mean, you're also talking about the census. I remember seeing something online when this news came out at first, seeing the 800 million plus or billion, and someone says, if that's how much it will cost to count us, then don't count us. We know our numbers, so we'll tell you our numbers, but don't count us, because to them it's like a waste of money using that much money for census. Especially
when you have a country that is in debt. It's been debt for
and
the past
incurring
years.
More.
And we're incurring more. And don't forget, before this was approved by the World Bank, the federal government had wanted to borrow some more money from China, and they said, no, we're not giving any longer. So where do we go from here? These questions need to be answered, but we can guarantee you that the answers will definitely be here on News Central, as we'll have a plethora of guests who will join in and dissect these concerns, especially from you, our viewers, and from Nigerians. But let's still stay in Nigeria now. Let's go straight to another part of the country. The Rivers State Executive Committee of the All Progressives Congress on Wednesday suspended the party's chairman, Chief Emeka Beke, and the legal advisor, Iheanyichukwu Azubuike, over alleged anti-party activities and financial misconduct. Also, the SEC dissociated itself from the comments allegedly made by the former Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, that the president-elect Bola Tinubu single-handedly nominated Professor Mahmood Yakubu as the Independent National Electoral Commission chairman.
Now, on Wednesday, the special leader of the party's executive committee in the state, Chike Enyida, who led other members to a media briefing in Port Harcourt, disclosed this. Enyida noted that the activities of Beke and Amaechi had adversely affected the party in the last couple of years, culminating in its dismal outing in the just concluded general election. Now, he further said the trio of Amaechi, Beke, and Azubuike had since 2021 held the Rivers APC on her knees. Joining us now to discuss this is the former special advisor to Rivers State Governor, Inko Tariye. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Loud
can.
And clear.
Loud and clear.
And I can hardly hear you, honestly. I advised her to call a different number for the audio while I use this for the video.
Okay, well, let's try. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
If you can pick our questions, that will be fine. So you can just go ahead and answer.
What's the question? Sorry.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm sure you know what we're discussing, and we want to actually take a look at what's going on. You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Good. Well, recently, while you joined us, you declared your support for the APC party. What do you make of this suspension of the party's chairman and the legal advisor in Rivers State?
Okay. We're talking of this purported suspension of the chairman and legal advisor. Of course, you can see external influence. Because before you suspend a chairman or legal advisor, there are procedural obligations that must be met. So now the question is, were those obligations met? Obviously, these characters that are purporting the suspension as Shibun characters. In other words, they are characters that have been bought over. You can even see the events that took place in the last few days, or let's say about a week, where the PDP is trying to stultify the attempts by the APC to get the CTC of their results. And that is because they believe, or they have that fear, that should the CTC be given to the APC, then they might have valid grounds to go ahead with their prosecution. I say, he who has no skeleton in his cupboard needs no fear. And the question is, I listened to the party chairman yesterday, one of the party chieftain yesterday, Marvin Ugana, where he said they wanted a joint inspection to ensure that the results are not changed. And that is quite laughable. I mean, it's a mockery of intelligence. What do you mean by joint inspection? Why will you want a joint? It was a court-granted APC the leave to go and inspect their their papers, and also get the CTC. If you also have your doubts, all you need to do is also to apply. You must not get the consent of the court, not necessarily. You only go for the court in premature when you have some hurdles to cross. Then you go to the court for the court to mandate and to make available those documents. But in this particular case, what the APC is trying to do is to ensure that the time runs fast so that it will be out of time. And you know that when you go to the tribunal, out of time is not an alibi, it's not tenable, it's not admissible. You have a time frame to admit to commence your prosecution. If you don't meet that time frame, then it's unfortunate for you. And that is what the PDP is trying to do. And in the case of the suspension, I'm not a member of any political party, but I've been a politician since 2002. So at this, and in Rivers State too. So at this, I can tell you exactly what is going on. What the PDP is doing, and they've gone ahead to suspend the party chairman, they've gone ahead to suspend the legal advisor. What the PDP is doing is to infiltrate the party and cause destabilization within the party, so that the party will be in disarray, and in that confusion, they are battling the issue of the party chairman, they are battling the issue of the legal advisor, they are also battling with the issue of CTC. So in that confusion, then the 21 days notice given by INEC would have elapsed, and there is nothing the party can do again. Because after the 21 days, you even, no matter your prayers before the tribunal, in fact, you're not a party, because the 21 days mandatory notice time to file has elapsed, and there is nothing you can do. That is exactly what the PDP is trying to do in Rivers.
All right. I mean, also, the special leader of the party's executive committee in Rivers State, Chike Anyida, said the trio of Amaechi, Beke, and Azubuike had since 2021 held the state APC on her knees. Now, do you by any chance understand what that means? And can you ascertain the veracity of that claim?
Well, while I will not really go into the veracity or appropriate finance of that statement or that assertion, so to speak, I mean, we all know how political parties operate in Rivers State, not just Rivers State, in the country. We are all seized of how their modus operandi. Now, when you say, if he said, I've been holding the APC on his knees, well, it is simple. Every state has a leader of that party. And wrongly, because I don't believe in that, the governors and presidents are made leaders of the party, unlike in the days of NPA. And that's why you have one man having a stronghold on the party, which is very wrong. In the days of MPN and so, we all know that whenever there are party meetings and party functions, the president, the national chairman or the state chairman of the party is the last to arrive. And when he arrives, the president will rise or the governor will rise, because he is at the head of the party and he is in charge. He calls the shot. And even during the meeting, he sits at the head of the table. And he tells, even when Mr. President wants to speak, he will have to seek his consent of the chairman of the party. That was the paradigm, that was the pattern, in those days. But now they said the party chair, the governors and the presidents are leaders of the party. Now, in that same breath, if the governor is the leader of the party, Rotimi Amaechi was the governor of the state. When APC was brought, he brought APC to Rivers State. He was the governor of the state. So who else will lead the party? Why can you say that it has the party on its knees? Then in terms of positions, allocation of offices, because the truth about it is that there is no party, whether APC, PDP, anywhere where you have internal democracy. Not at all. What the governors do, what the leaders do, is to impose candidates, force candidates on the people. And in most cases, they even threaten you that should you rebel against the choice of a candidate, then you'll be dealt with drastically. So it's not all about Rotimi Amaechi. I'm not in line. I'm not in town. I don't agree with such a policy because I believe that internal democracy is prerequisite to having a proper democracy when the proper elections come. And so I don't believe in that. I also don't believe in the fact that the governor or president of a country or of a state must be the leader of the party. I also don't agree. But that is what it is right now. So if you accuse Rotimi Amaechi, for example, of having a stronghold on the party, then you should also accuse every other governor and every other president. In the cases where, for example, the leadership of the party, or the party is not the one producing the governor of the state, or that produced the governor of the state, then you have that maybe a senator or a minister in that political party becomes the head of that political party. That is the tradition. That is the practice right now. That is the norm. So it's not all about Rotimi Amaechi alone. Nobody, no governor, no senator, no minister can extricate himself from that blame. So you cannot just say Rotimi Amaechi has been having. What of the PDP? What of the PDP? It's even worse in the PDP. So what are we talking about? That's just trying to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it up. It's a normal thing in our present democracy, even though it is quite antithetical to democratic norms and values.
Wow. Okay. Well, before we go, Inko, I mean, you've said a lot. Let's look at the situation. Let's look at the Tonya Cole situation. What's your thought on that so far? I know you're aware of what's going on. You're also aware he's been on this station on our political show, Politics HQ. He's talked about the challenges he's facing, especially trying to ensure that he gets back what belongs to him, believing that the victory was gotten. But what are your thoughts about the scenario, the situation that he's actually going through?
Like I said, okay.
Yes, go on. Go ahead.
Like I predicted preliminarily, and I said the whole thing is geared towards frustrating Tonya Cole all the while, because you have a deadline, and I think it's about 21 days after the elections and so on. So now, and the 21 days is quite close, quite close. So what they are trying to do is frustrate Tonya Cole from getting the CTC. He already has the documents, but those documents can only be admissible when it is certified by the very body. So, and that is what Tonya Cole is trying to get. And honestly, what I cannot rationalize is why it is this difficult to issue the CTC to Tonya Cole. So I strongly believe that the INEC is working in cahoots, is working in connivance with certain authorities. And I believe for now that the party the INEC is working with definitely is the PDP.
But that's a statement you're making. That's a claim. Do you have evidence for that?
I said I posit.
Okay.
That's what I said. I did not say that is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's my opinion.
That's fine.
Exactly. So now the fact is they are trying to frustrate him so that he doesn't get the CTC. And once you don't have that CTC, it's not admissible in court. And if it's not admissible in court, then it's all over for the APC. Just like what happened in 2019, where APC was not even on the ballot. You also saw what happened in Abia. The crime of the deputy governor was visited on the governor. So there are all kinds of shenanigans that have been employed. So once the 21 days expires, then you can no longer sue because you don't have the local standing anymore, as prescribed by law. So you can no longer sue, and that will be the end of it. That is just the whole strategy. That is just the whole plan. I heard Tonya Cole say he was going to go to Abuja to say, I don't know what will be the outcome. Maybe the Abuja will give a directive to the state. But are you going to tell them that even the INEC chairman is not aware of what is going on in River State? There are certain things you must do suo motu on your own because it is within your virus, it is within your rights, within your powers to so do. Why didn't the national chairman call? That's why I said even the national chairman I'm highly disappointed in him. He's a disgrace to our electoral act.
All right. Thank you so much. We would have loved to.
I'll get that for another day.
Okay. We would have loved to go extensively. Mr. Inko.
Just to frustrate Inko, because they know that the CTC is the only admissible thing in court.
Right,
and if
Mr. Inko. Thank you so much. Because of our time, honestly, would have loved to go extensively on this conversation and to understand better. But because of our time, thank you for doing justice to it, even with the little time that you were giving. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Inko Taria.
Thank you so much.